So, starting on July 1st, each school will be allowed to spend roughly $20.5 million in new payments to their athletes. That applies to athletes across every sport. How they divvy that up is up to them. Most schools, from what I read, are going to use about 90% on football and basketball.
Smells like lawsuits are coming.
Sounds like the non-revenue sports are going to go away.
That figure comes from a negotiated formula that caps athlete payments at 22% of the average annual revenue that FBS-level schools get from ticket sales, broadcast rights, and blah, 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 other stuff. So, athletes are still also allowed to make money from selling the rights to their name, image, and likeness. So, NIL is still a thing that they can do.
This is what's so confusing. The school is already paying you, let's call that minimum wage, whatever, but you're still allowed to go make money elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So the big hitters, the Zions, as you mentioned, that went to Duke, they're going to make their millions no matter what. Shador is going to make his millions no matter what. But the backup left tackle is going to make his minimum wage. Is that what this is? Is that what we're talking about?
What do you mean by minimum wage, I suppose?
Well, we're going to go down a road that I'm not sure I'm ready to argue today, because I'm going to make an argument that is going to rile a lot of people up.
I'm going to make an argument that's going to make people upset.
Well, me too.
Because it has made people upset over the years. Because
Me too.
Let me preface it by saying a lot of people banged the "we got to pay college players" for a long time drum. Okay? And I've seen all the stuff from Jeremy Bloom. I saw you quote tweet Jeremy Bloom yesterday. I can't think of anybody who was affected more than Jeremy Bloom. It was incredibly unfair because it wasn't even the sport with which he wanted to get paid.
It had no impact. Him
correct.
playing football and making money off skiing, one did not impact the other.
That is
Why
correct.
the NCAA was so hard and fast on that is ridiculous.
Because if there's a way, Brett, here's the thing. If there is a way to abuse a system, college boosters are going to find that way.
Well, yeah.
So you could say Jeremy Bloom was a world-class skier and competed in the Olympics, and Vic, all that is true. I'll tell you, somebody would find their star quarterback the ability to be on the bass fishing team, right, and get millions in a door. The people would abuse it, and there's always a workaround, or seemingly there's always a workaround. That's why they denied. And I don't doubt for a second that he should have been paid. And I don't doubt for a second that some of these players over the years in college football, they got ripped off. I mean, they used their name, image, and likeness on video games and all jersey sales and everything, and they got nothing out of it. The alternative, but Vic, I'm sorry, I'm long-winded right now. But the alternative is what we're seeing now, and it's only going to get worse. It is beyond the Wild West now. It's out of control.
But it's pro sports.
Yeah, okay, so what you've done, Brett, for those who, we got to pay the players. Okay, I don't disagree with you. But when you open that can of worms, dude, those worms ain't going back in that can ever. And now what you've done is you've destroyed college sports as we know it.
Well, $2.8 billion in back pay to anybody that played in college athletics from 2016 to 2024 gets some sort of
Why not go back all the way to 2000?
Why not go back to 2009?
Why not go back to 1951 if there's anybody still alive and give them some bread?
I don't know.
Why is the cutoff at 2016?
When did NIL start?
2020? 21?
Yeah, I don't know why it would go. Because the guys that probably started in 2016 could have had a year of NIL in 2020. Would be my guess. That's why.
I do have a fundamental problem with this, and let's start here. Do the upper tier athletes who carry the flags for these universities and brands, do they deserve more money than the lower tier athletes? Yeah. I've never disputed that. The guys that are doing all the work, the guys that are carrying all the marketing tools, the guys that are attracting the money and the fans and the viewers, they deserve more money. Here's the problem. How do you properly discern those players from those who do not? How do you do that? Where do you draw the line? Where do you say, this guy gets X, this guy gets Y? How do you do that?
Well, Title IX was brought in, Vic, because what you can't do is you can't tell a female swimmer that her value to the university is less than the star quarterback on the football team. Hold on. So Title IX, Brett, if you go back, this is all legalese complicated crap. But Title IX was brought in to assure fairness and equity in the college athletic systems. Okay, for any university, you have to have equal numbers of male and female sports.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you're paying your star quarterback $5 million a year, and the leading female swimmer on your swim team gets $100 a month, aren't you telling her that she is less valuable to the university than the star quarterback is?
That's what I'm saying.
This is what I don't get, though.
Well, the answer is yes. That's what you're telling
That's
her.
exactly what you're
But hang
telling
on.
them.
If you pay $100 million for a brand new football practice facility, and the women have to go to the local Y, to local women's swimming team has to go to the local Y to go practice, then that's unfair too, isn't it?
That's because the football program, it floats all boats. It pays for all the swimming and diving and men's diving and all that. It pays for all of that, so that's fine. It's when you get down to the individual athlete, you're going to run into some major problems.
Major problems, even on every respective team. Forget sports.
Yeah.
Just take one team.
Sure.
How do you take a team of, let's just call it 75 football players. Let's put the number at 75.
Sure.
How do you determine who makes what? You know, a professional sports franchise has payrolls, salary caps. You know exactly what everybody makes. You play to what you... How do you do that in a college
Free
environment?
agency.
How do you do that? How do you say in college, this dude is worth that? Yeah, we saw you play last year. You didn't do much. You're worth this much.
I guess I don't see how it's all that much different than like a professional sports team. Like, Joker makes $70 million and Westbrook makes $3.5 million.
Then it's pro sports.
Then we're playing professional.
Yeah,
then we're
being
playing
paid.
professional sports. Period.
Look, I was told a long time ago, you get paid to do something, you're a professional at it. Okay, so the second that starts to happen, you start to get money to do a certain thing. You're now a professional in that thing.
All right, so are the kid gloves off then? How we treat college athletes then? They're like pro athletes.
Well, here's a question that I have that I considered. You know, so this is $20.5 million a year that they have to spend on whatever sport or whatever athlete that they see fit within that school. I don't know how that affects this scenario. Like, let's paint you this one. You're UNLV. You decide I'm going to give $2 million to my starting quarterback, and he decides 3 weeks into the season that he's transferring. How does that work?
That's what happened.
But he wasn't being paid directly by the school, right?
He said he was promised money by an assistant coach. That's why he went there, and he said, "I'm not getting my money. I'm out of here."
That was NIL money.
The fix is easy. If the school is making the payments, then I want a contract, and I want a contract that says you got to stay here.
I mean, for at least the year. But
If you're signing a contract where I'm paying you money, you can't just walk halfway through the season. No, can't do it.
No, I think you're totally right.
So when I was against paying athletes, it wasn't because I didn't think that they deserved money or some compensation for. And I made the argument: look, you're getting a great education.
People don't want to hear that. You know, I've said that for
exactly.
years.
So I was beat down like all you want is unpaid labor while everybody gets rich off the backs of these kids. They get nothing. You're right. Find me a better way because this ain't it. Dude, I'm telling you, it's already killed the NCAA tournament. The major basketball programs are now, chalk is going to walk every single year because they've got the money.
There's
no more Wichita State Shockers.
Mid-majors are gone.
They're gone, okay? And then in college football, the Colorado State Rams are dead. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Their football program, for all intents and purposes, Brett, of actually competing is dead.
And why do you say that?
Because they'll never get into a playoff. They'll never be a part of it. They don't have the money. Pat, there's only so many Pat Strikers out there for the Rams. Hey, let's go to Nevada, Boise State. Although, well, they're getting
now. There's a $20 million
New
cap.
Mexico's dead. Wyoming's dead.
There's a cap on how much schools can pay the athletes.
That's from the school.
Yeah,
that's from the school.
From the school. So there are still going to be those athletes who are not out there in the public light that make the money from NIL who are going to shine, right? But as soon as they shine, what happens? As soon as they become familiar to viewers, what happens? They go to the bigger schools to get that money we just spoke of. They leave. They leave. And that's what's going to happen.
Sure.
And it's happening more and more. Why would they stay?
Right. Why even have Mark, the Colorado State Rams football program's been dead for 100 years? No, that's not fair. That comes from William. No, William. Why even have these kids go to school? If you're, and I'm dead serious, you are now an employee.
Yeah.
Okay? So that means you don't have to go to class. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to do anything. You are at that university to play tight end
think about
in
this.
football. That's it. Don't go to school. Why would you go to school?
Think about this.
Absolutely not. No school.
I went to a school where if you had bad grades, you couldn't play sports.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine a player not being able to play sports with bad grades?
Now?
Yeah.
They
Like a star player.
Don't even have to go to school.
Could you
You're
imagine that?
You're a professional football player. Now, if you're on the swimming team and you want to become, a veterinarian, then go to school. I mean, or you want to become an English professor, whatever it is you want to do, run a marketing company. I mean, whatever it is that's, up your alley, then do it.
You're so right, though. What it does to the education arm of this is, why are we bothering playing this facade? I swear to God, if these ADs continue to call these top-notch athletes student athletes, I'm going to lose it.
The 1708.
I'm going to lose it. Would you agree? Do you guys agree with me? This
Yeah.
whole term student athlete?
I think that's been gone for a while.
Let me take this further.
No. Dude, a lot of these ADs, they won't say anything but student athlete.
No.
There are tons of student athletes who go to these schools. They play for nothing. They have to work their way. They go to school for school. But the ones that we're familiar with, the ones that carry the flag for the brands, a lot of them don't care about school.
Yeah.
The 1708, as part of NCAA rules, the students have to be engaged in classes toward their major or minor. Why do you think the Big Ten and the SEC want to branch off and do their own thing? They don't even want to be a part of the NCAA anymore. They want to be professional sports.
Well, the NCAA, for all intents and purposes, is dead. It just organizes tournaments now. It's going to organize the basketball tournament. It's going to organize tournaments, but it doesn't have any disciplinary acts whatsoever. It can't do anything. They're done.